I was 9 years old when my parents left me behind. Not for a few days. Not for a vacation. They left me forever. My name is Emily, and for years, I believed I wasn't good enough for my own family. The day everything changed started like any other Saturday morning. I remember sitting on the porch of our small house, drawing flowers in my notebook while waiting for my parents to come outside. They had been arguing for weeks. Every night, I could hear shouting through the walls. Sometimes I covered my ears with a pillow and pretended everything was okay. That morning, my mother smiled at me. A fake smile. The kind adults use when they're hiding something. "Emily, sweetheart," she said, "we're going to visit Grandpa today." I loved Grandpa. He lived alone in a quiet town 2 hours away. His house smelled like old books and fresh coffee. Every time I visited, he would tell stories about adventures from his younger days. I packed my favorite teddy bear and jumped into the car. I had no idea that would be the last time I would ever live with my parents. When we arrived, Grandpa greeted us warmly. He hugged me tightly, but something about his expression seemed different. Concerned, almost worried. My parents sat with him in the living room while I played outside. An hour later, my mother called me in. She knelt beside me. "Emily, you're going to stay with Grandpa for a little while." I frowned. "How long?" "A few weeks," she replied. I nodded. Children trust their parents. I trusted mine. I watched their car disappear down the road. I thought they would come back. They never did. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. At first, Grandpa made excuses. "Your parents are busy. They'll call soon. They love you." But the phone never rang. Birthday after birthday passed without a single card. No gifts. No messages. Nothing. Eventually, Grandpa stopped making excuses. One evening, when I was 11, I asked him directly, "Did they forget about me?" The sadness in his eyes answered before his words did. He sat beside me and gently held my hand. "No, sweetheart." "Then why don't they come?" For a long moment, he remained silent. Then he whispered something that shattered my heart. "Because they chose not to." I cried harder that night than I ever had before. Not because I missed them. Because I finally understood the truth. I wasn't lost. I wasn't missing. I had been abandoned. From that day forward, Grandpa became everything. He attended every school event, every parent-teacher meeting, every birthday, every graduation ceremony. When other kids had mothers and fathers cheering from the crowd, I had Grandpa. And somehow, that felt enough. He taught me how to ride a bicycle, how to stand up for myself, how to recognize my worth. Most importantly, he taught me that family isn't defined by blood. It's defined by love. Years passed. I grew older. Life became stable. Happy, even. Then, shortly after my 21st birthday, everything changed again. One afternoon, there was a knock on Grandpa's front door. I opened it and froze. Standing there were two people I hadn't seen in over 12 years. My parents. Older. Grayer. But unmistakably them. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then my mother smiled. That same fake smile. "Emily." My stomach twisted. I felt nothing. No excitement. No joy. Only anger. Cold, quiet anger. "What are you doing here?" My father cleared his throat. "We've been trying to reconnect." Reconnect. The word felt insulting. You can't reconnect something you intentionally destroyed. Grandpa appeared behind me. The moment he saw them, his face hardened. I had never seen that expression before. It wasn't sadness. It wasn't disappointment. It was fury. "You need to leave." My father stepped forward. "We just want to talk." "No," Grandpa replied firmly. "You want something." The silence that followed said everything. Eventually, my mother admitted the truth. They were drowning in debt. Their business had failed. Their house was being repossessed. And somehow, after abandoning their daughter for 12 years, they believed I owed them help. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. They hadn't come back because they loved me. They had come back because they needed money. Grandpa closed the door in their faces. I thought that would be the end. I was wrong. Over the next few months, they became relentless. Phone calls, letters, emails, even surprise visits. Each message carried the same theme. Family helps family. But where was family when I needed parents? One evening, Grandpa sat me down. His expression was serious. "There are things you don't know." He opened a small wooden box. Inside were documents, letters, legal papers, records, years of records. What I discovered left me speechless. After abandoning me, my parents had actually tried to avoid financial responsibility completely. They had signed papers claiming they couldn't care for me. But behind the scenes, they repeatedly attempted to gain access to funds that had been set aside for my future by my late grandmother. Every attempt had failed, because Grandpa stopped them. Every single time. For years, he quietly protected me, never telling me, never asking for recognition. He simply did what a parent should do. That night I cried. Not from sadness, but from gratitude. A few weeks later, the situation escalated. My parents filed legal claims, arguing they deserved access to certain family assets. The claims were ridiculous, but they were persistent. That's when Grandpa made a phone call. The next morning, a lawyer arrived. An incredibly experienced lawyer. Calm, professional, unshakable. He reviewed decades of documents. Every record, every signature, every abandonment form, every failed attempt to access my funds. Then he smiled. A very confident smile. "They've made a serious mistake." Months later, the hearing finally arrived. For the first time in years, my parents looked nervous. The lawyer presented everything. Every document, every timeline, every contradiction, every attempt they made to manipulate the system. The evidence was overwhelming. There was nowhere left to hide. No excuses. No explanations. No lies. The courtroom became silent. The judge reviewed the records carefully. Then came the ruling. Every claim was dismissed. Completely. The judge openly questioned their motives. The decision made it clear. They had abandoned their responsibilities long ago. And now, they had no legal standing to demand anything. My parents sat there speechless. For once, nobody believed their story. For once, they couldn't talk their way out. For once, the truth was louder than their excuses. When we walked outside, my mother tried to approach me. I stopped her. There was one thing I needed to say. Not for her. For myself. I spent years wondering why I wasn't enough. Her eyes filled with tears. I continued. But now I understand something. You didn't leave because of me. You left because of who you are. She lowered her head. I turned away. And that was the last time I ever saw either of them. A year later, Grandpa and I sat on the same porch where my story had begun. The sun was setting. The air was quiet. Peaceful. I looked at him and smiled. "Thank you." He laughed softly. "For what?" "For choosing me." His eyes became watery. Then he squeezed my hand. "Emily, I never chose you." I looked confused. He smiled. "You were always family."